everyone. Welcome to FreeThinker's Fireside, where we put the human in humanness, one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as House Bells, and now I'm introducing my special guest, Val, and we're going to talk about Catholic shit. So it'll be a good time. So let's say hi to Val. Hey.
Hi, I'm Val.
Hi, Hetty.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So, for people that don't know you, who are you? What do you do? And why did you want to talk about this topic? So I'm
Valdrianth, everyone on the internet. My government name is Adrienne. I use any and all pronouns. I am an agender, gender neutral kind of person. I'm a little hyperfem right now because I got some fluidity going on, but I use any and all pronouns. As far as like what I do, you probably see me in the background in the skeptic community. I tend to just like hang out and in some other
keep
places.
talking. I got to hardwire my internet. I forgot to, so keep talking.
That's fair. I tend to just kind of hang out, support everybody in a lot of the skeptic communities and things like that. But where my primary focus is on the internet and the content that I create is centered around TTRPGs. I'll talk about that at some point. And why I want to talk about this, bro, I'm an ex-Catholic. I got shit. I've got traumas. I have a very unique and insane like teenage years from the early 2000s, like in the Catholic Church, working like youth groups and shit like that. So I'm also incredibly nervous and my chest hurts. Not my chest, like this part right here. My teeth.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, oh, I gotta check that check out.
I know. I'm also disabled as fuck and chronically ill. So like,
you're just a mess.
You're in
the perfect place.
I know.
Because I always say I'm a walking embarrassment with great hair. So that's. I want that on my tombstone. Helen was a walking embarrassment with great hair. That's
a good tombstone. That's a good.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want a tombstone. Like, when I die, I've already told my spouse this. I want to. Do you know what a tree pod is?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
You're gonna do a tree pod. I want to be.
I'm gonna do a tree pod.
Yeah. So like a very famous Catholic, J.R.R. Tolkien. I am always on the side of trees.
Yeah, me too. He was one of the cool Catholics.
Yeah, he was. The biggest mistake is that he converted C.S. Lewis from atheism to like,
and he turned into a butthead.
Exactly.
Tolkien was just like, I'm a private Catholic. Like
I'll romanticize it in my fantasies and things like that.
And then I'm like, cool. I was like, I love your books, so I'm just gonna, live there, and I'm gonna ignore the fact that you're a Catholic, and I can still respect you. Though he was also a really cool human being, so it's fine. So he did the thing that you're supposed to do, where your faith is yours, and then you don't try to shit on other people. He just was. I guess the argument that he made to C.S. Lewis was convincing, though I've read that argument, and I'm just kind of like. Yeah, okay.
And then C.S. Lewis was like, "Well, I'm going to be the Church of England, not Catholicism."
Yeah. And then I'm going to be an asshole about it.
My fantasy allegory is going to be not
Jesus.
Great, and and Jesus lions,
Jesus lions. Yeah, it was funny though, because like when I read, because there's a lot of like Christ figures in literature, so like when I read that series when I was a child, I didn't see the allegory because I was like 10. I wasn't doing literature analysis at 10 years old. But now it's like, now I cannot not see it.
Especially when he slut shamed Susan. That is
goddamn, she wants to wear lipstick and get laid. Damn her.
Yeah, exactly.
So shame on Susan for having a sex drive. Shame on her
for just being a teenage girl.
Being a teenage girl. I want to look pretty for boys or girls. I don't know her sexual preference.
The thing is that like he wrote her like that. Like
character. I'm like, she's made up. You could have her do whatever she wanted.
And you turned her into your version of a slut. Thanks,
C.S. Lewis. You're
Appreciate
a butthead. So let's talk about the Catholic Church and youth groups.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be fun, everybody. Everybody get your drinks.
Right, I have a cup of undisclosed beverage right here. It's milk. And I don't know why. I had a muffin earlier, this is just like my leftover. And milk, weirdly enough, settles my stomach. I'm not one of those people. I'm a mutant. I can drink milk. And then I have
I
Dr. Pepper Zero, of course.
Okay, well, like my relationship, I don't like milk on its own. Like I only like it in cereal, but we tend to drink like nut milk, like oat milk. That tends to be the thing that we keep in the house. I don't know if it's I think it's juice. It's more like, I would like to say that it's nut juice. Nut juice.
It's just nut juice.
Sounds dirty too. Yeah. It also sounds kind of dirty.
Because it is. It's very dirty.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like to call it that. But like, and then I eat cheese and my body hates me for it. And I have to take dairy supplements so I can digest the dairy. Otherwise, Helen has tummy aches and lots of trips to the bathroom if she doesn't do the dairy tablets. But I love cheese so much, I can't give it up.
Like, no, that's fair. Like, my spousal unit is the same way. Yeah.
Because like, and I didn't always used to be lactose intolerant. It just been a recent development in the past couple, after I hit like 45, seems to be a recent development. I don't fucking know why. And I'm just like, my body hates me.
I hope it doesn't happen to me. And maybe because like I have dairy like almost every day of my life, it won't happen to me. But like,
no, I had it every day. Like I have some kind of dairy every day, but you know. So anyway, let's talk about the topic you want to talk about and not talk about lactose intolerance.
Yeah, I know. We're just kind of beating around the bush here.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. I would like to kind of like have this little.
Oh, so I'm reading Sheldon's comment about the Robert E. Lee pictures everywhere. Not so much the Catholic lady and the dolls, but the Robert E. Lee. Wow.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, anyway,
wow.
Trying to give a little disclosure about this experience I have. I do recognize that it's going to be like a very unique experience to the area of Louisiana that I grew up in. In Louisiana, Catholicism is very much like a part of our culture because we are Cajun and we're Creole, and it's just, which are two protected ethnic groups in the United States, if you don't know that. And being Catholic and Cajun or Catholic and Creole is very much just like the same way as being like an Irish Catholic kind of thing. It's in your culture sort of stuff. But around like the late 90s and early 2000s, the bishop of my diocese was like, you know what? There's not enough young people in the church. What are the evangelicals doing that gets young people in their churches? And took a little note from them.
That's just does not sound like a good choice.
It was not. It was an awful choice. So essentially, for me, it's kind of like how it started. It was very, very cult-like in mentality. How it started for me was like the summer between my freshman year in high school and my sophomore year. So this is like 2001. My best friend at the time was like, hey, you curse too much and you're falling away from Jesus. I need you to come do this with me. And I was like, man, I don't know about that. But her and my other best friend were both going. And I was like, well, who am I going to role play Dragon Ball Z over AIM with this weekend? I just assume go kind of thing. I spent a lot of time role playing DBZ as a child. Okay. It was my thing. And so I went.
I've never seen one episode of DBZ. And And I usually get shamed for it in the nerd culture, but I'm like, listen, I was watching X-Men.
I mean, that's fine too, but like my first husband is Trunks, so like, but you know, we can have a DBZ night. It's fine. Okay. And so like I went, and at this time I was like very much like they call like a paper bag Catholic. Like I just got out of Catholic school and was in public school, and so we went to, it's a conference that the Catholic College in Steubenville puts on several conferences all across the country, and very specifically the one that I went to was called Steubenville South, which was in Alexandria, Louisiana. And it's like this 3-day conference of forced trauma bonding of teenagers. Like, yeah, like just like
that sounds great.
Yeah. So like the first day, like essentially you get to, they kind of frame it as, because you're in like a coliseum, right? And they frame it, it's very concerty, like it can be very euphoric, but essentially like they use very classic like manipulation tactics in that they deprive you of breaks in these 3 days. They deprive you of sleep, water, like food, that kind of stuff, to where like you're already like you are primed for a euphoric experience, right? So like that first day, like that first Friday of these conferences, it's kind of like a big party. Everybody's happy. We're singing, yes, Lord, all that kind of bullshit, right? And it was pretty fun. And then they start slut shaming you. Like that same night, and you're really sad about it, and you kind of cry, and you do a little bit more praise and worship, and then the big thing happens on like Saturday when you're like most sleep deprived. And as an ex-Catholic, did you ever have to like do like an adoration session?
Adoration.
Yeah, so basically they take out the Jesus
Describe
cracker.
It, because I might forgot the term.
Yeah, so the priest takes out the Jesus cracker, puts it in the little sun chalice, and walks around where the saddest fucking music is playing after they have like traumatized you. Okay, the lights are out. They're playing like literally some of the saddest shit, and I'm very sure they had like a skit, and I'll talk about the skits that I had to do and like at some point, because they're looking back at it, it's hilarious. And there's usually like a skit where you beat up Jesus or whatever, and they make you feel really bad about it. Like, and
well, what?
Yeah, and then they have the Jesus cracker out, and you know, in Catholicism, the Eucharist, right? The host.
I did not do, because I didn't go to Catholic youth group.
So imagine, okay, so imagine
I missed this
of like 5,000 kids between the ages of like 14 and 18 years old, maybe 19, 13, because you can go as soon as you graduate 8th grade until you finish high school. So 14 to 18 to 19. So those 6 summers, right? Like all crying with this one priest holding up the Jesus cracker, because, you know, they express how much this is the physical body of Christ. This is Jesus, and this is the only thing that will heal you from your sins.
So it was like live Passion of the Christ without the blood.
Yeah, exactly, kind of thing. And like, so they do this, right? And again, you're sleep deprived, you haven't really eaten, you're dehydrated as fuck. Okay, hold on. Sorry, weird thing on my computer. It's been fighting a Trojan for a while, but it's dealing. It's fine. It's fine. Like, I'm surprised they didn't. It wouldn't. I wouldn't have. They weren't going to give you drugs, but that's also hilarious because of a comment one of my friends that I forced trauma bonded in this with made a comment about that when we talk about this and reminisce. But they imagine like 5,000 teenagers all in a coliseum crying, passing out, and they were like resting in the spirit, like literally just falling downstairs. Okay,
what is it?
Like, and there's paramedics there to like help people and stuff. And kid you not, quote unquote, like people are like speaking in tongues and levitating, or people are lifting them up like they're levitating, you know what I mean? Like it's absolute, and it's dark, and there's music, and we just had a skit about beating up Jesus. And it's like,
as you do.
Yeah, and you're in like this heightened, and it's always to Everything by Lifehouse. It's always to Lifehouse. I don't know why. And you are, and it's one of the most traumatic but euphoric experiences I've ever had, right? And I was like, that's it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's like, cool, I believe in Jesus, and me being autistic,
Jesus is the best.
Yeah, Jesus is the best. Me being autistic, it's like, and hyperfixating on Catholicism as a special interest, I have to be the best Catholic possible.
I'm gonna be such a good Catholic. I'm becoming a nun. I'm so Catholic.
So, yeah. And so you have like this big conference that happens in the summer, and it's partnered with the local diocese, right? And so essentially, like the local diocese, my local diocese, was like, we have to capitalize on this. And their whole goal is to like repeat that experience for the children of those dioceses at a smaller scale, if that makes sense. So there's always an adoration with people crying. There's always, and they did it. The prime way that they did it, and this is how I eventually got involved in this, was we had to go through a retreat to get confirmed. Like a 2-day retreat, like an overnight retreat as a requirement.
I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. As a requirement to get confirmed, like in our diocese. And I ended up joining this group, right? It was called SWAT, Servants with a Task.
Okay.
And like their whole goal is to like, at any kind of like gathering, was to repeat this experience. And still to this day, there's still people in their 40s and their 50s doing their best to repeat this traumatic, euphoric experience. Like anytime they do anything in the church, sort of stuff. And thing, it's so weird, and it's such a stark contrast between like going to church in the Catholic Church, which is usually very reverent and kind of witchcrafty, and like romantic, but also like very like solemn and stuff like that. But no, that's not the way that this diocese was working. It's quote unquote, it's magic and traumatizing us. And I trauma bonded a lot with a lot of people at that time because of it. And it's by design, right? Because it keeps young people in the church. And this continues not just in like these confirmation retreats, which by the way, this is one of the things they made us do. Like on the Saturday night, during these retreats, we would give skits to our peers and things like that, to traumatize them into being ready to be confirmed. I don't know.
So weird. So weird.
So we had to participate in these skits, and like the way that they would specifically do it, you'd have like one person give like this really intense speech on a Saturday night, and then we would do the skit, and the skit was usually somebody playing Jesus and a bunch of people beating up Jesus. And then going into the Jesus cracker worship. like all within like the span of like 3 hours, they would have us do this. And whenever we would finish the skit, we would like us, the performers or the people working the retreat, would go back, and we would have to like, because beating up Jesus is traumatizing.
Everybody, just so you know, don't beat up Jesus.
Don't beat up Jesus. Don't make teenagers beat up Jesus to Everything by Lifehouse.
Don't do it.
I don't know if you've ever heard the song before. It's like a 5.5-minute song. And we do the whole thing.
About beating up Jesus?
It's not even about beating up Jesus. It's not even a Christian song. Like, it's just...
What
like,
song is it?
Everything by Lifehouse. Like, Lifehouse is not even like a quote-unquote Christian band. I don't know what religion the members are. But, like, they're not even a Christian band. But they... it's a very slow, solemn song, and then it gets really intense for, like, that last minute, and that's when you kick Jesus.
So, wait a minute. So are you guys the Romans in this scenario?
We're just teenagers smoking and drinking. Like, and denying Jesus. And, like, here's the thing. The dude would have, like, who's playing Jesus, which, by the way, at one point was usually my ex-boyfriend by the time. I don't know why they had him play Jesus. He didn't look anything like Jesus, but he'd have we had a full ass cross that he carried, and he would just, to this song, like, be reaching for us, and we'd walk away from him, but he'd be like, no, follow me, kind of thing. And then when the song gets intense, we, like, push him down and beat him up. It was...
this was not part of my Catholic upbringing, girl.
No, I don't think it was part of most people's. Like, because, like, it was...
your diocese was very, very special Catholic. Oh boy.
I think to this day they still do it. Like, I'm fairly certain that they still do this shit to this day. Like, this is like 20 years ago, and I think they still do that kind of stuff. And so anyway, like, and then, you know, the little retreat group, like, is kind of friends with each other, and, you know, so we're all, like, feeding each other bullshit and holding each other accountable and stuff like that. And then you go to college, and we do it all over again. And in between that, every summer is Steubenville, continuing to, like, redo that. And then in college, there's this thing called awakening retreats. And unless you were already kind of in the cult of this weird evangelical version of Catholicism, like, and you were forced to go to this awakening retreat because your friends asked you, it didn't work the same way, because these are more grown people where their frontal lobe is not completely developed, but it's more developed than what I was at 15 when they forced me to do this kind of stuff. So they didn't really fall for this shit, but it was hilarious because there was always, like, a secret thing about the college ones where it's like, they don't know this, but there's an entire group of other people in the chapel praying for them. And I always did that because you got way more sleep if you were on the prayer team. Like, kind of thing. It's given its consent.
Not being Christian, but as a teenager, I worked at a small Christian music bookstore and we carry them. I don't know about this band. Like, maybe because you guys are in your 30s and I'm in my late 40s. Like, I think maybe that's happening.
I don't want to get you monetized, but, like, one of their, like, because they're a secular band.
I'm not monetized right now.
Oh, okay. So, like, the song is like, this is a different song, but it's like, it's you and me and all of the people, and that's, like, one of their famous songs from, like, high school or whatever. But I'll send you, like, the Spotify link to that song or whatever.
All right. Yeah, send it to me and I'll... Because I'm sure. Wild. I mean, I've heard that other song that you just referenced.
This is
I know that song.
Yeah, the song everything.
They got a lot of radio play in the late 90s, early 2000s, around that time. Yeah. So I do remember that somewhere in my listening.
I'm pretty sure I even, like, still have this album, and I'm very certain, not on this particular song, but I've definitely made some Naruto AMVs to some Lifehouse songs. Let me just DM this shit to you real quick. But it's absolutely, and again, this is, like, by design. Like, and the worst part is how that those aren't even, like, the worst things, because in, like, this cult, in this group, like, and I was kind of talking to you this about before. Give me a second. My ADHD. I'm just gonna link that to you. So I mentioned my ex-boyfriend was Jesus all the time, and so these groups were also like very prime to groom young girls into being wives, essentially.
No.
And no, what? The youth pastor dating. Listen, and the crazy thing, yeah. So the crazy thing was that like a lot of these dudes were also seminarians. None of them became priests, but they were like doing it double time.
Were they going to become like bishops or deacons?
Yeah, well, very specifically, like, because in Covington, Louisiana, there is a Benedictine monastery, and that's usually where they went. Which, by the way, I had a Benedictine crucifix around my neck at all time at one point, because these people had me convinced I was prime for possession. I was always afraid of like spiritual warfare.
I was a Catholic light.
I was not a Catholic light. Like, and here's the thing.
I was like, it was like, don't unalive yourself and don't be gay and you will go to heaven. It was like, and don't have sex before marriage.
Well, that was the thing, is that I was gay and I wanted to unalive myself because I was gay, because then I couldn't get possessed.
Oh, well, what's funny to me is that like confession time. I was a very queer teenager having sex with boyfriends and girlfriends when I was in high school, and I would still go to church on Sunday, and I'd be like, well, if I ask God for forgiveness, it'll be okay. And I have to do this for the rest of my life.
I went to so much confession. And kind of an interesting segue, I'm going to talk about some really gross stuff here for those to be prepared, and something that happened to me while being in this like retreat group called SWAT. It was always at like this Catholic campground, and there was a building, so there was never like a proper confessional booth, and we had to go to confession before we ministered to our peers, as they called it. And I was in so we were in broom closets, face to face with priests, giving confessions. Okay. In the dark. And I did, in fact, and I was 18 at the time. I don't know if he knew that, but I did, in fact, was made to confess my corn habits, which are very similar to my corn habits today and contain werewolves. Like, I haven't changed much in 20 years. But, and while I did this,
I'm not going to talk about my my alien corn.
Listen, I am a certified monster fucker. Okay.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Anyway, as I was,
I don't know. I have a thing for alien corn. It tends to.
It's good stuff.
Do my thing. Do I have any shame about that? No.
But during this confessional, like, he masturbated to me, confessing my corn habits to him.
Okay, regardless of your age or not, that's just gross.
It's like, fucking gross.
It's not consensual. Yeah. It's like, it wasn't like, confess to me and sexy time. This is an authority figure being gross.
And the thing is,
and lusty and bad.
It's one of those things that I kind of like, because it was so traumatic, and I'm a victim of SA previous to this, so I'm really good at like blocking out and disassociating from like sexual trauma. But like, so like when this kind of came back into like my life as I'm like deconstructing, and this was all happening around the spotlight time as well, right? The thing is that like you're so indoctrinated about this, how sacred the confessional is. My thing is like, who was I gonna tell?
Right?
Like, there was mostly, we were mostly teenagers doing this, with a few, like the oldest adult was 30 years old that was in charge of us, with some people in their 20s that were also like in charge of us. And it was, so who do you tell? Like, right. What do you do in that situation? As, like, you know, sure, I'm an adult, I'm 18, I'm in high school, I'm a child. Like, there's, like, I'm also autistic, so, like, my brain was not developed at this time, and I was indoctrinated in the cult, essentially. Mm-hmm. And it, like, who do you tell? And it, like, now, like, looking back and when I, like, deconstruct, like, I am so mad at the adults that were in charge of us, because they put us in danger and put kids in danger. Like, because the ones that were at the retreat, because these are confirmation kids, they're 15, 16 years old. So they're younger than what I was, like actual minors. And what pissed me off the most, too, was around that time, because it was a spotlight thing. As an 18-year-old, I was not allowed to be in a room by myself with somebody who was 17 years old. Like, that was like, we because I was an adult and they weren't, without having another adult present, kind of thing. So the only place adults could be alone with these children were the priest in the confessionals.
That's
that
gross.
They were masturbating in.
Like, that's so gross.
Not even confessionals. Fucking broom closets. Like, kind of thing. The good news is,
so let me get this straight. So you couldn't be alone.
No.
With a minor.
No.
And a room alone with a minor. Okay. But the priest could be in a broom closet.
Yeah.
Alone with a minor.
Yes. But the priest could. You know, the ones that were actually committing the sex crime. You know, not the person who just turned 18 in November and we're doing a retreat in January. Like,
this is so dumb.
Yeah, it was so dumb. It was hypocritical.
Well, also too, it's gross and bad. It's so gross and bad. Very
so
bad.
Gross and bad. So to anyone kind of listening, there is a happy ending to this, in that priest unalived himself about a decade ago because he got caught, essentially. He was the principal at a elementary school in my home parish, and I say parish not in the church sense. I say it in, because I'm from Louisiana, we don't have counties. We have parishes. So yeah, because we're Catholic. But it was, so he's no longer, like, once the accusation came out, he just offed himself, like, immediately. And he wasn't like an old priest either. He was like maybe a decade older than me. So, like, at the time at 18, he was like 28, so brand new. But yeah. Let me look at what Sheldon, something. There is that, but also there was also a very Sheldon, listen. There was also a cult, like, a lot of the abuse was being blamed on gay men who were priests and not actual people that were predators. Like, there was so much blame that was being, because most of the time, like, going into the priesthood was like one of the things that people did to stay safe, like gay men did to stay safe, kind of thing. And so much was being blamed on those men, and not the fact that they were gay, and not the fact that they were actual men, predators. Yeah,
because it's mostly straight people that identify as straight that are predators.
Despite who they
I'm not saying there's. Yeah, I'm not saying that there's no, because we know there's predators everywhere. Like, it doesn't belong to just one group, but it tends to be people that are straight. And the people that enter the priesthood too, keep in mind, predators go where children are. That's why you get there'll be coaches and teachers
where they have access to children.
And when they have, if you can get access to children, you're gonna do things. And if you're a fucked up human being, you'll do things so you have access to kids. And the thing is, though, is that like things like priesthood or you're being a pastor, is that there's an automatic default that you're a good person because you're a godly person, and you wouldn't do that to children. And then, but lo and behold, we find out again and again and again, nearly every day, that some motherfucker with that, is like, tuned into God, is diddling kids.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was,
so
it was nuts. And like he's not in this world anymore. Great. I mean, like, obviously me and his other victims, because that's what we are.
I don't like to wish anyone to, not exist anymore. But like, as Samuel Adams says, I don't wish death on anybody, but I've read some obituaries gleefully, and I kind of feel it's one of those situations. Like, I'm gleeful that he is no longer here.
Okay, I am ecstatic. That he's not here, and it's. So there was that. There was and also at the same time. So some of these older people, and I say older people, like people in like their early 20s, like 20, 21, 22 kind of stuff, who were seminarians or ex-seminarians that were specifically using this group as a way to find wives, sort of thing. And
because that's when you find your partners, when you're 16 or 16.
Yeah, exactly. My ex-boyfriend.
I made all my best decisions then.
My ex-boyfriend, and I only dated him for 2 weeks, mind you, because within 2 weeks I was just like, I don't want this shit. But within we met. He was like 18 and I was 15 or 16, and he wasn't gonna date me because I was 15. Okay, so he went to seminary, came back when I turned 18 after being in constant contact with me, and then dated me. And we have had, there was, and this was having like very extensive talks in the back of his vehicle. But he he never touched me or anything like that. Like, we didn't kiss until we were 18 or what. I was 18 or whatever. But at one time, because he was feeling lustful, he got out of the car, instead of just kissing me, he got out of the car and like got on his knees on the concrete and started praying.
Why? Because he got a Woody?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, okay. Well,
and then he was like, "You should do it too." And I was like, "I don't feel bad about anything." I don't. And and apparently that's not his first time he's done that. He did that with somebody else too. And he told me this like willingly. But it was it was so weird. It's a Central Louisiana is a very weird place, and then the Catholic Church was especially weird. Don't get me started.
Catholic, yeah, because I was Catholic. Like there was slut shaming and stuff, but that just comes with religion. Yeah. Like it's on brand. But like I what was really weird is that like the guy I went to my junior prom with, he was very Christian, and I was already sexually active at this time. And he wouldn't even make out with me. And it was so strange because I knew he was attracted to me, like, cause he asked me and he thought I was cool. And it was, but also at the same time, I'm like, do you want to kiss? Like, I would try to, I guess seduce, like when you're 17, it's weird, but
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know as soon as he is. Like, I'm 48. Like, and now, like, when somebody's flirting with me, I'm like, are they? Because I can't tell.
Yeah, I'm.
Because I just say what I want.
Yeah. No.
So it was just one of those things. But he would not kiss me, and I thought, or even touch me. Like, he would hug me. And we would, and like, we obviously danced together, but anything beyond that, he got really weird about. Like, he got, and I'm like, but I thought, I'm like, but don't you want to? And
yeah,
like, should we? And then I was like, I'm like, I can't date you because you don't even want to like treat me like I'm your girlfriend. Like, we don't have to have sex, but like, you don't even want to like, kiss me, which is weird.
Okay, so this is weird, and I don't want. It's a story that I'm going to tell about a person that is still very, very dear to me and is still like one of my closest friends, but went through this together, and he is a boy that is the same age as me. Like, so this is not weird. Mm-hmm. And we liked each other. Like, we legitimately liked each other. But he would not date me because he was attracted to me. And he admitted this like very recently in our like as we're like
he would only date girls that he wasn't attracted to.
Because here is the thing. We can see I am shaped very, very fully. And as a teenager was also shaped very fully. Like, guys, I got a big ass. Okay. And so essentially he was attracted to fat girls very specifically. But he saw that attraction as a lust and sinful. Like, that's the kind of shit that you like
but you like what you like.
But you like what you like. But the thing is, it's like, I'm not supposed to, but that's like the type of purity culture that kind of went, and like, I didn't get it. And I still kind of don't get it, but like, that's just kind of like the thing. Well, I mean, I do kind of get it. Like, that's a whole different ball game when it comes to like,
it's just very strange because like for me, I don't.
Very strange. So the purity culture wasn't limited to the girls in my community like at all. It was very much still like, if you were attracted to, like, he was attracted to me, so that's why he didn't go out with me.
That's so like, and that's such the opposite of how we usually date. Like you usually date people because you find them attractive and you want to hang out with them and maybe do sexy stuff. So it's confusing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it makes sense to me as an older person, like, because again, I've always been a big lady, big girl kind of thing, big little Mothman, cryptid little guy.
Right.
But I've always had a very, I'm built like a French peasant, and there are men who are attracted to that, but don't want to admit that they're attracted to that because
because there's
a shame apparently to be attracted to fat people. I don't know.
Because fat is just a word. It's not a bad word or a good word. It's completely neutral. I'm like, so it's like, everybody just calm the fuck down.
Calm the fuck down. But so it was kind of, so like him telling me that, I was like not surprised. Kind of like not surprised. Like, as a child, like as an 18, 19-year-old person, I was like devastated. But like, he's telling me this, like, we're in our late 30s, like, reminiscing about the bullshit that we went through with this group. It's not a big deal to me anymore, but it's just kind of like the thing. And then like my purity culture that, the girls went, obviously, like, saving some of the typical stuff about saving yourself for your husband, being a virgin, like the chewed gum, bullshit and shaming and all of that. And of course, like, I was very, very closet bisexual. Like, when I officially had like my first crush on a girl, like I was in my 20s. Like, I knew I was attracted to girls, but I didn't like but I'm also very dimmy. So like for me to like actually like have feelings for somebody is very rare. So the first time I like fell in love essentially with a girl, and like I was devastated, and I was like, I'm gonna get possessed, I'm gonna die. Like,
well, that's how it happens.
And it was also like the reason for like, and I want to say this was like 2008, during 8-ish, 2009-ish for me, so my early 20s. Like, I tried to unalive myself because of that bullshit. You know what I mean? Because it was just one of those things
because you want a vagina.
Yeah, well, not so much vagina as like I just
I know.
loved her.
Using that,
you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like I had
you wanted the people that own vaginas.
Yeah. You know, like I had these feelings for her, and it was just like, and I didn't. Obviously, I'm still here, but then I pushed that shit way down, like way down, and the next time I mentioned it with anyone was the anti-lust. Yeah, it can. 100%. My hair is still here. The like, oh my God, it's so stupid. And I pushed that shit like way down. And I didn't admit to anybody that I was bisexual until I started dating my current partner when I was about 25 years old. And I'd already left. I had moved from, because I knew like after that like unaliving attempt that I needed to get the fuck out of my hometown. Like I needed to leave. I needed
that's why I went to Florida. I had to get out of New Hampshire. I had to. I was like, I need to get as far away as I can and find out who I am.
I didn't get as far away as possible. I just went to Texas, but I went to Austin.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Like I went to Florida.
Yeah. So. Like I was still close enough if I needed my mama, I could get to her like quickly enough kind of thing. I love my mama, by the way. But like, so I lived in Austin from like 25 to 30, and was like essentially like the start of my deconstruction because I was away from these groups. Like both like the youth group stuff, the college group, the CCD things. Like I was away from all of this, so I could like kind of figure out who I was in my mid and late 20s without any of that, while still saying like, yeah, I'm a bad Catholic, you know, but whatever sort of things. And then by 30, when I got on birth control and some of these same people completely disowned me because birth control made me a murderer.
Oh, my mom was so upset when she found out I was on birth control.
Like,
so
like
upset.
Here's the thing.
And I was like, I'm like,
that was kind of like,
I'm having sex, Mom.
Well, here's the thing. Was I having sex? Yes, I was having sex. But that's not why I needed to get on birth control. I had a tumor the size of my fist inside of my uterus. And
there you go.
And I needed to stop having periods. That's why I got on birth control, because my periods were feeding the fibroid. And so, like, and then it just so happened I was also having sex, so it was convenient for me. like then the other thing would just be to completely yeet the organ out, and no one's gonna give a 30-year-old a hysterectomy with no reason. I'm still trying to get one, but I'm 39 now. But it was like, just straight up called me a murderer, and I was like, why am I here? Like, why do I even participate?
Whoa. What? Calling you a murderer because you wanted birth control because of a tumor so you could regulate your cycle.
Yeah. But I was a murderer.
And you're a murderer?
Yes. All birth control is murder in the Catholic Church. I don't know.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, but not but of course, when a man masturbates and spills his seed everywhere, that's not murder.
Yeah, that's not murder. Because you're not preventing. Yeah. So that was like my thing, was just by that time, because obviously before I had left and I was deep into like that cult mindset of you know, this very specific sect of Catholicism where I was from, like I was quote unquote pro-life. I was very much not okay with the gays, despite being one. I say not okay with the gays, even though I spent most of my time with gay people, but like homophobic and transphobic in the sense that like they don't deserve rights, kind of thing. Like I was like, that's how indoctrinated I was. And if anybody knows me now today, I'm just like, yeah, fuck transphobes.
Right.
Like,
well, I don't.
You can have an abortion for any reason. Do it.
Have
you
an abortion
can do it just because it's Wednesday. Do it. Kind of thing.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Surgery.
I don't care.
Well, it's insane. Like, well, that's the thing. Like, what like the fucked up thing about like indoctrination is that like once you're out of it, and you look back on yourself, I was like, oh my God, I believe such crazy shit. But also, and then you reevaluate, like, I didn't really like myself back then. I'm glad I'm better now. but that's the thing that is so twisted about religion is that like it's especially like your Catholic was more Catholic than I Catholic. I don't know what happened. Like, whoa, like an evangelical Catholic, which I find hilarious because their doctrines are so fucking different. So I'm just like, oh
right, the doctrines are different, but it wasn't so much of like changing doctrines as much as it was because the Catholic doctrine was still very Catholic, and we were very anti-Protestant too, right? But like the whole thing was just using using those like manipulation tactics and methods to get to people to indoctrinate them. Like that's what they were doing, and again and still doing it. Like if like there's a Steubenville South Instagram account, and I looked at it the other day, and luckily enough, like it looks like they're not as big as they were. Like they're not in the Coliseum in Alexandria anymore. They're in a much smaller space. So luckily enough, it doesn't seem, I don't know what the like confirmation and the CCD culture like is like that anymore. I've been out of it. You know, for what 15 years now, so when I left when I was 25, so it's just sort of like, and the thing is it makes you shitty people like but I'm fairly certain there's still like some level of it. And a friend and I were talking that was also in it too, same one that liked me. We murder and tumors, it's true. We sorry, my ADHD and my bladder's kind of full. I need to pee here in a second.
That's okay. If you want to take a break and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll talk to my audience for a minute.
You don't know how my room is, but yeah.
So let's talk about your like, hi Mythic. Hi honey. So like I'm just pointing out, like this is something I'm pointing like when I grew up Catholic, but like I didn't go to Catholic youth group. We went to church. Occasionally if there was some kind of function at the church we would go, but I always went with my mother. I went to Catholic school for the first 8 years of my, actually 9 years, because I went to a Catholic preschool. So or the teacher was Catholic. It wasn't like they were preaching Catholic. And then I went to St. Raphael's from kindergarten to, I want to say 3rd grade. And then I went to St. Marie's from 4th grade to 7th grade. And then 8th grade, I went to high school. I went to junior high at McKelvey Middle School in Bedford, New Hampshire. So that was my first public school experience, and then I was in public school, all through high school. So and also that was weird. Like if you go to Catholic school and then you go to like a public school, it's weird because like you're so socially awkward. So it happens. But yeah, they say about Catholic schoolgirls, the guilt makes it fun. So that's what they say. I didn't wear uniforms though when I went to Catholic school. We could wear jeans on Friday. But you could pretty much wear normal clothing. There was obviously a dress code like most schools. But for the most part, like I didn't have like the Catholic school girl uniform or anything, which is probably a good thing because it's kind of a fetish. So not good to fetishize like young girls wearing Catholic school girl outfits. Not the best thing to do, so don't do that. But have I been known to wear a Catholic school girl outfit as an adult? Yes. I don't think you should fetishize children, but I kind of get it as an adult. It's kind of hot. I'm not going to say it's not.
I'm a former cosplayer, so
like, yeah, like I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I was doing all of this.
I'm cosplaying Catholic.
Like, I gotta show you.
Like me for one Halloween, me and my husband, when we went as Satan and the schoolgirl, he does a Satan, and I wore like a little schoolgirl outfit, and it was a good time.
So I still have this. So I got this cross at the monastery because there was a youth conference at the monastery. Of course there was, which is where I learned about the chewed gum theory, whatever. So Jesus is not on here anymore. He fell off a while ago, but I literally wore this every day. And so this is the front and back of Saint Benedict. And apparently like the Latin on this particular medal is like the Latin prayers that they use for like an exorcism, right? And it's like, so when I stopped wearing this because I broke it because it's technically blessed. In the Catholic Church, I don't know if y'all knew this, but if something is blessed and it's broken, you either have to burn it or bury it. Like that's like a rule or something, which I clearly never did. But because I had lost it, one of my priest friends at the time, because I did have a friend that was a priest. He was also my dungeon master, by the way. I've been playing D&D a long time. But for the Lord of the Rings game, he was just like, "Oh, well, here's some holy water. Why don't you just go get a tattoo to your body?" And so I did, and it's no longer there. It's no longer there because when I had my wedding a couple of years ago, I was like, you know what I don't want in my wedding pictures? A reminder of my Catholic trauma. Like,
right.
But like one of the funniest.
That's fair.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I do have a funny story about it, which is hilarious. Was that like I went to a lot of anime conventions around the same time that I was doing all of this. I led a double life, okay? Like on one hand, I was the
wait a minute, that's the Catholic way. You were a true Catholic.
It was the Catholic way. Trying to like living, because I was of the opinion that I'm not here to convert people, because that was the thing. You don't convert people, but if you walk the way of Jesus, you will be an inspiration to people. Which is why I hung out, which was my excuse as why I was hanging out with so many gays. But really, it's also because I was gay. But anyway, so I'm at this convention in Baton Rouge, and we get invited to a staff party, because I always get invited to staff parties. You look at me, I'm charismatic as fuck, right? And I'm cute and adorable. And there was this one particular voice actor. His name is Scott McNeil. If anybody knows who Scott McNeil is, y'all probably do. He did a lot of voices in Transformers. My other husband, Duo Maxwell, and Koga, all those guys, right? So it's not weird to hang out with a minor celebrity at a convention, but he's drunk off his ass, right? But we're hanging out, and he hands me a Pocky. I hand him a Pocky, and he sees the tattoo. The medal had like the front and the back, right? And he's like, "Cool tattoo. What is it?" And I wasn't gonna get into the fucking lore, but I was just like, it's an exorcism, Scotty. And he just like looks at me like dead in my face and is like, did it work? And I'm like, I haven't been possessed yet, so I guess it's still working. So like,
you could have gone like, well, I got the bisexual demon.
I still have the bisexual demon in me.
I had the polysexual demon and the genderqueer demon. So, you know,
I have the bisexual, non-binary, polyam demon inside of me.
I'm like polysexual, polyam, genderqueer, feminist.
There's so many demons in me right now.
So many, like, atheist demon.
It's like that meme. It's like, oh yeah, I could take a demon in a fight, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah,
sure, yeah, in a fight. Sure. I like the demons inside me.
I love the demons inside me.
So deep in me.
Yeah. Like, I want those demons to come inside me now.
Yeah, I do. I want them to come inside me.
Like, kind of thing. But yeah.
And then I want Jesus to cleanse me of my sins.
Oh my God. Oh, and that was like the whole thing. It was like, they were just like, just remember, you have a relationship with Jesus. You don't believe in him. You have a relationship with them. Like, I think my demons must be friends with you all's demons.
Listen, when I'm angry, I have tea with my demons. So, but also I think we're all in the same club.
I do marijuana with my demons.
I do marijuana. I do. I play D&D with my demons.
D&D was never an issue for us.
We do a lot together.
Yeah. That was like one of the things that was also very weird, because you had like this whole, when it came to like media and stuff, because, you know, people were very like, there was a lot of people that are anti-Harry Potter.
I'm gonna go refill my drink and pee. Keep talking. I have to pee. And
I will. Don't worry, I won't shut up. I promise you. The people in this very specific group of people that I was with, like, we didn't have like weird feelings about like D&D. Like, we didn't satanic panic about D&D or Harry Potter. They tried, like, there was a lady that tried to satanic panic us about Harry Potter. And I mean, you know, there are reasons now to dislike Harry Potter, which, you know, back in 2004, nobody knew what was going on then. But, you know, it was kind of ridiculous, to be honest. So I finally get those Catholic cross tattoos now. Like, well, some people have, like, mine wasn't a cross. Mine was very specifically this metal with the Latin on it, this on both sides. So it's not like I had like a cross. I had like a metal, and the water that was used was holy water. Like, the water was blessed, and technically it's still there. I just covered that shit up. And like, literally, it was so big. This was the only thing like I could do to cover it up without, is just essentially have, I can still see some parts in it, obviously, because sometimes it gets raised, but let me tell you. Yeah, my parents were never, so my parents are still Catholic. But they even thought I was crazy. I'm pretty sure they did. Like, kind of thing. Like, they and I think they tried to, they tried to like calm my expectations, and I just didn't listen to them because I was a teenager and knew better. Thank you. I think it looks very cool too. The line was an addition that my husband decided that was like, oh, it would be cool to have a line. And I was even thinking I might even add a second one down here at some point. But my next tattoo, I would like to get like a deadhead moth on my stomach. That's what I'm kind of leaning into, because moths are very bisexual, and deadhead moths are very goth. And
I'm getting a new tattoo a week from Saturday. I'm getting a xenomorph.
Hell yeah.
But I'm getting the shading done in the polysexual flat colors.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
We love to see it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I will. Oh, I'm going to show it off.
Yeah.
I have many tattoos, but like I need some ink, man. So because it's my birthday was yesterday, and my best friend's birthday was on the 5th, and he turned 50 this year. So I was like, best friend tattoos. So
I've been jonesing for some new ink. Like the newest one I have is just a piece of flash on my thigh. It's like a little mushroom on my thigh. He's a little fun guy. That's like and other than this one, it's been almost 10 years before I got this covered up since my previous tattoo, which is I have a Pokemon tattoo to my ankle. I think it's the Pokemon and not this one, because I have a bunch of like little smaller tattoos. Some of them are covered up at this point now. I have 2 things covered up. I have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo covered up on my chest. Because I got that tattoo when I was with the girl that I was in love with. I got that tattoo with her because I was also mad at a boy, because that should have also been the sign that I wasn't a monogamous person. Because I was in love with 2 people at the same time. Well, the other one, I felt like he was kind of more of my beard, like, and I was mad that I didn't have one anymore. Like, I was not a good person at this time.
How can I be bi now?
I was not, and that's like the thing, like I have to like iterate, was that during this time I had a lot of self-hatred for myself, and
that is the Catholic way.
Yeah, and no real way to like self-regulate that hatred. And I was just like very self-righteous, not a good person to some of the people around me, like including my friends. So, I was not a pleasant person to be with, especially from the ages of like 22 to 25 until I left home. I was just not a very pleasant person to be with because of that, because I was miserable. And you could tell that I was miserable, and I blame Jesus for that. Well, not Jesus. I blame servants with a task for that, and Steubenville South.
Well, that's one of the things though, because like I went through. I have major depressive disorder, and I have generalized anxiety disorder. So if you don't regulate that shit, it's not good. And then you have being queer, and then you have all this like shame and shit that you got to work through. It's being so like I didn't get like really mentally healthy until my 30s. Like really, like I started taking my mental health very seriously and took care of myself. And ever since I did that, I've been happier. Like not perfect, my brain's still messed up, but I'm doing my best. Everybody. Like I tell my therapist I see her every 2 weeks. I'm like, you're my maintenance. Like I got my meds, and I talk to you every 2 weeks, and I can just verbally vomit at you, and you take my money, and you give me some solid advice, and and I'm like, that's our relationship, and it's great, and I love my therapist.
There was like, sorry.
No. Yeah. I was just gonna say that, but like when it comes to the way that when you're dealing with that dissonance of I'm this person, but I'm also I'm supposed to be this person. I feel like I'm this person, but the church is telling me I need to be this person, and you can't regulate yourself.
Yeah, like it was impossible to regulate myself. And like essentially like what I was having was, and I was doing my best, like especially when I was in my 20s, I did take an initiative. In my early 20s, I did take an initiative to seek mental health help. And I was misdiagnosed as borderline at one point, and then diagnosed as bipolar as another. And now that I'm like in my late 30s and untreated for both of them, because it most likely wasn't any of that, I'm just autistic, bro.
Right.
Like straight up. Because like what was quote unquote spiritual warfare for me was me unable to like regulate my trauma that these spaces were causing me. Like I was so like deregulated, like, and on top of being a teenager, you know what I mean? And then
I mean, like, I don't. No, go, keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay, and one of the things that they encourage you to do, like when you're sharing in these small groups and stuff like that, is to share your your most vulnerable traumas to them too. Like they made me talk about my essay. Which I didn't want to talk about.
I'm like, yeah, I've never had to talk about that with. I did talk about with a youth pastor. From a Baptist church my friend went to, but he was very empathetic. He's like, I'm sorry this happened to you. He's like, have you told anybody? And he was like, it's like, he was an adult about it. Like he didn't blame me or anything like that. Like he got it. That was only because I felt weirdly safe with that one particular pastor. It's weird. But that, like, like, but being made to confess and talk about your no,
it was no made, but it was like highly encouraged because like all the cool kids did it. It was peer pressure.
The cool kids.
Yeah, it was peer pressure because you
talk about your trauma. Cool kids.
Yeah. And so like to this day, one of the things that I've tried to like part of my deconstruction to this day is for me not to like to try and bond with another person, to not just blurt out all of the worst things that I've ever experienced in my life, because that's how I was taught is how you're supposed to make friends. To this day I struggle with
and just start trauma vomiting onto them.
Yeah, trauma vomiting people at people because it's like, look at me, I'm poor, look at me, be my friend, I don't have any, I'm a victim. Like literally, like I don't know what that voice was.
I've been that girl. I've been that girl. And it's almost like you have mild borderline personality disorder, like mildly, because that's what borderline personality people do. Like if you read the symptoms, like when you're taught to like share your trauma with everybody, and then try to form relationships, and then over analyze why people don't like you.
Which is also an autism thing as well. Of thing.
I have ADHD, and we have perceived rejection dysphoria.
Yes.
So, which is fun.
I'm technically an ADHD, so I do also suffer from that, but not very, very intensely.
I am not on the autism spectrum. I suspected I was, and then I got some testing done. They're like, no, you just have ADHD and anxiety. I was like, cool. I was like,
I was touching a little bit of both. Yeah.
So yeah.
I T-Rex arms when I sleep, you know?
It's one of those things though. Then that's the thing about religion though. This isn't religion's fault. This is just any sort of belief you have about yourself that if you don't get real mental health help, and you don't know what's wrong with your brain, and it can be natural, like ADHD is just a part of my brain, or it can be trauma related, and that's causes a change in the brain. If you're not able to understand those things, you're going to go through life like trying to find, because we're all trying to we're social animals. We need one another. If we can't find a way to make that work, it's going to manifest in ways that are not healthy.
In the same light, also segueing back to this, neurospicy AFAB kids are definitely always misdiagnosed. Yeah, because you even to this day, because you're looking for criteria that you find in boys, kind of thing. It just reminds me of the forced trauma bonding, mental health, and stuff like that. About this woman, and I say she was a woman because she was like 30 years old and like in charge of us. she was, her weird trauma bonding thing with us, like the younger people that were 16 to 18 years old, was she apparently was in love with the male version of her, like the other guy that was in charge of our program. But he did not feel that way about her, right? He was also like 30, like it was age appropriate or whatever. But he did not feel that way about her. But she like ranted and raved and cried about it to teenagers.
No.
Like, yeah. Like,
no.
Because, yeah. And it's just like, girl, you are a full ass adult here. Your frontal lobe is developed. Like, why are you like forcing teenage girls to like go through this with you?
Helping you manage your rejection?
Yeah, like why is that any of our business too?
Right.
Like,
also, we don't know what we're doing, so why are you telling?
It's like, girl, the guy doesn't like me because he likes me. Like, I'm trying to deal with this stuff. Like, kind of, you know, like I'm trying to deal with shit. Like, why are you?
I don't know how you like you can't tell. You know, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you would have a teenager help a 30-year-old woman.
Yeah, and that's like the thing. It's like, did you not have people your age that were your friends?
Well, again, some people aren't. They're emotionally sended.
Yeah,
they don't get past.
I have adult friends of all ages, younger and older than me too. But like, you're clearly in a position of power, like with us, like, and you're abusing that as to essentially like force trauma bond us, you know,
which is gross.
It's gross. It's so gross. Like, and to this day,
everything about this is gross.
Yeah. To this day, like I'm like the whole space was super gross. To this day, very recently took her off of my Facebook because she was on my Facebook for like until very recently. Because she would on my birthday like send me like prayers and shit like that. Even like after like I came out as an atheist, I came out as queer, was still sending me stuff. And I asked her, I was like, listen, I don't believe in this anymore. And I'm going to ask you to not send these, like, you can send me birthday wishes all you want, but do not send me like these things. Like, I do not appreciate this. And did she listen? No. So I was just like, you know what,
which is a boundary violation.
It's a boundary. I was like, you know what, Miss Ma'am, like, and it's not and it's not like I'm asking my grandmother to do this. And I actually don't ask my grandmother to not pray for me because she's 91 years old. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. Okay.
My mom's gonna be 94, and my mom is a hardcore believer and like a Catholic, and I'm like, Mommy, when she sends me little cards and says like Jesus loves you, and like I was thinking about you, Helen, I'm praying for you. I don't care. I'm like, Mom, fine, I love you. I don't care. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I do not like when before my other grandmother, before she passed away in 2020, she'd say the rosary for me. It's like I don't like, it's because it doesn't, like, I understand that kind of helps them feel better, kind of thing about that. So like it does not bother me because I don't believe anything happens, kind of thing. But when I specifically ask you to not do that, and Ben's here, and you do that, Hi Ben, then that's a violation. And so I took her off. I also took off the one that called me a murderer too for having the birth control.
Well, that's
I was just, and the thing is, it wasn't even a conversation. This is the thing that pisses me off. It wasn't even like a conversation she was invited to. It just so happens it was kind of like on like a public post of mine where I had a friend that was asking me about like my IUD and like what to expect from it, and we were just having like I say a public, but it was on my feed sort of stuff, and she just chimes in and she's just, you know, starts talking about how birth control is murder, and as a Catholic I shouldn't be promoting this kind of stuff. And
Oh, okay.
that kind of thing. And I was just like, girl, because I've been advocating for birth control and pro-choice and all of that, like I said, well before I left the church, because I was of the
I've been doing it since I was a teenager.
yeah, I found at the time like justifications even in my own faith, like because I wasn't just like I wasn't a Bible Catholic, I was like a catechism Catholic, and it's not an Appalachian accent. I'm Cajun.
Mm-hmm.
So they were asking me what my accent was. I'm Cajun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Hi, Trees. Hi, honey.
Yeah, I have a Louisiana accent. So I think Appalachian people are fine, but I'm a Frenchy twang. But that's what it is. It's French twang. But sorry, I lost ADHD. I lost my train of thought. Murder thing. But
so you asked her not to be. We were talking about boundaries, and you asked the crazy lady not to send you prayers, but she was like, "I'm going to do it anyway." And
the birth control thing.
Birth control.
Rationalization. I got it. I found a lot of rationalization for things that I supported, like within, like one, I had already, like even at the time at my most Catholic, I was very much a firm believer of the separation of church and state, because I understood it protected churches as much as it did non-believers and all that kind of stuff. And, it's also like Catholics have a persecution complex like all Christians do, but Catholics especially have a persecution complex because it's not part of this. Most of the time they don't consider them Christians to begin with, like a lot of those evangelical religions. And when it's connected to your culture, like it is with mine, like you get a persecution complex, right? So it's like, like be separation of church and state. So I was already finding like reasons, like when it came to like gay people getting married and that kind of stuff. Like there's like, the catechism talks about how you have to treat queer people with respect and all of that stuff. And I was just like, and I believe that letting them have a marriage that's not religious is part of like those equal rights. Like, and it's none of my business kind of thing. And I was already very pro trans before I even knew it. I dated a trans man for like a hot second, in the same group that I met my husband in. But like once I met him in person, that's just kind of like the thing. Like I dated a lot of people over the internet because that was my main form of communication. Still is to this point. But when I met him in person, like it was like the attraction just like wasn't there, and I was like, you're cool, but I'm just like not attracted to you, sort of thing. But I was with a trans man for a hot second on that. Again, led a double life.
It is the Catholic way.
Yeah. And
it's very Catholic of you.
Yeah, and I even asked one of the dudes that tried to groom me at the time.
I mean, I'm telling you, I was having queer sex for most of from Tisha to now, and the time I was Catholic was still doing it and still going to church. And like I'm gonna go to heaven.
And I even remember
Friday.
I even remember asking one of these ex-seminarians that tried to groom me, because I was still kind of friends with him. Like he tried to groom my best friend more than he tried to groom me, because he wanted to date her and the other one wanted to date me. And I'd already turned that man down. But this one kind of still my friend that I was like talking to, whatever. And I even talked to him and confided. And I was just like, so I know this person is trans, he identifies as a man, I'm attracted to him. Does that make me gay? And he's like, no, because your attraction is to the man and stuff like that. And it's like, but the truth is, yes, it makes me gay. It makes me hella gay. Like, there's nothing heteronormative about what I felt for that person.
Fair.
But it's like there's so much, and obviously the one I talk about it, like more just kind of comes to my mind. Like it was so wild. Like this early 2000s space was so wild. And you know, you're talking about like having to do mushrooms at these events, you know, to help this sense of euphoria. One of the things that helped me deconstruct was going to live concerts and experiencing that same level of euphoria, when it's just like, oh, it's not Jesus that makes me feel this way, it's music, which is just a normal human experience, right?
Like brain.
Yeah, I was like, I'm at an Andrew WK concert and feeling euphoria. like Jesus is not, I mean, Andrew WK could be a very hot Jesus. Like, let's be real about this. Like, I don't know if you've ever, that man is built like a brick house. Like,
I don't know who you're talking about.
Andrew WK, he's like the party hard guy.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh my God, what the fuck? Sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, you're having a moment. You're having a moment. Now just imagine him as Jesus in a skit and beat him in a moment.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to have some private time. Sorry, sorry, not sorry. Sorry.
Excuse me. Who are we sweating for? Andrew WK. That's who we're sweating for. Andrew WK. That's who we're sweating for.
AJ's here. Hi, honey.
Yeah,
we're sweating for Andrew WK. I had not seen this man, and now my basement is flooded. So I'm just. Whoosh.
Oh yeah, his shows are so fun too. But you know, I felt that
he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, he wears all white to his concerts too, like a white t-shirt and white jeans, and just sweats. They get a little musty, but cool guy. We were following each other on Twitter for a while, and he but when he deleted his Twitter, I'm not on Twitter anymore because I don't support Yachts.
No, because you don't afford the fashion. You don't support the fascists. Get on BlueSky like the rest of us.
I am on BlueSky. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't delete my Twitter because I don't want the bots to have my name that I've had since I was 14 years old, but I don't actively log into it. It's not on my phone anymore, and I don't use it. I just don't want the bots to have it and use it to harass people and to spread propaganda. Is essentially
I don't know. Like I left, and because I barely posted when I was there, because like I'm lazy. But so like my name is still out there, fine. Like if anyone knows me, they know, they'd be like, oh no. So
yeah, no, I've been on BlueSky for a while now. I just haven't started actively using it like as our promotional space.
I use it for a promotional space. I don't do a whole lot of like public discourse on social apps. Apparently, like I did tell myself on the way to work, I'm like, I really got to start utilizing TikTok for my channel. But that requires more work, but I'm gonna do it. Eventually.
TikTok is kind of like my fun space. Like I just kind of I try to curate my algorithms as best as I can.
Yeah, I think that's.
And so, like, I have a lot of work and a lot of political discourse on my BlueSky, and a lot of book stuff on there as well. And then on TikTok, it's a lot of book talk, right now it's a lot of Baby No Money, like because I watched one Baby No Money video. Like by the way, he is an artist. He's Gen Z, and he's one of the best. He's one of the good ones. He's out there. We love Baby No Money. Supports artists and hates AI. It makes AI users very mad because of that. But his songs stand really well in my head. So that's, God damn it. I have my blanket down for my cat to lay down on this blanket instead of getting my sheets dirty because he's a messy dude. And he's not there anymore. He's just on my sheets. And I'm like, okay.
You tried.
Yeah,
You tried.
he's like, there he is. That's the towel he's supposed to lay on. And that's
he
him.
was like, nope.
Yeah. And that's him. And he was
like,
there
nope.
earlier, but decided otherwise. So I have to pee again. Like I said, I pee a lot.
That's okay. That's right.
It's because of that thing that's in my uterus that makes my hormones fucking weird. Like that I have on birth control for. Makes me pee a lot, guys.
I have nerve damage and I've had 2 children, so I have to pee all the time.
Okay.
And I'm on medication that I drink a lot. I drink a lot of fluids, but also makes me pee a lot. So yeah, peeing all the time. If I was over with someone that's really into golden showers and I was going to provide, they'd be happy, but not my fetish. I don't dumb anybody's yum, but not my fetish, and I'm not participating. So, just saying. It's just my shitty kidneys. I had my nerve was damaged when I had transverse myelitis back in 2012. Which is just a random nerve condition you get, and I was paralyzed from the waist down for it just came on very suddenly, and I was paralyzed from the waist down for about I want to say 3 months, and then no, I did eventually. Okay, so like I was in the hospital for a month, and I had to do a whole bunch of occupational physical therapy. And then I was on a walker for 9 months, and then I was on a cane for another year. So for about 2 years, I was on some kind of assistance till I got full use of my legs back. The only thing is that I have chronic pain in my back, and my bladder's weak, and my proprioception in my left leg is kind of fucked. Randomly, my knee will just go out when I'm walking, and it always feels like my left leg is on it's numb. So because the signal's messed up, because the myelin sheath is damaged on that particular nerve that connects from my brain into my back into my leg. So fun. And it's your own immune system attacking itself. So that's fine, because the condition happens when you get like a virus, like a cold. I had a cold, and then my immune system was like, fuck you, and attacked the myelin sheath around my nerve. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, like really bad back pain. And then by the time I had gotten to the hospital, I was paralyzed from the waist down. So yeah, I was talking about my medical condition back in 2012. So which led me to having a weak bladder. So it took I was talking about like my 2-year recovery and stuff like that, but it was very sudden, and because with a condition called transverse myelitis, and usually people that have MS or lupus get it, but you can just randomly get it because my immune system, when trying to fight a virus, attacks the myelin sheath on your nerves. So
yeah,
I was just lucky. So it's very terrifying.
I have a little bit of nerve damage as well, because as a child, and I mentioned this, I'm a victim of child on child SA.
Me
too. Yeah, it was child on child, and it happened very often. And because of that, because I'm 7, 8, 9 years old, I don't know that you're supposed to pee after stuff happens down there. So I got a lot of bladder infections as a kid, and UTIs as a kid. And of course, like when they're looking when pediatricians are looking for abuse, they're very specifically looking as a cause of these things, aren't looking for stuff like child on child. Like they're looking for adults, like the signs of like abuse from an adult, and those signs weren't there. So I have nerve damage, and like for me, it hurts a lot to have any amount of fluid in my bladder, kind of thing. Like I have to go expel it as soon as I feel it, or it's gonna hurt, sort of stuff. So that's the kind of damage like that I have to my system because of that. And on top of that, I have fibromyalgia, so whenever I'm in pain, I'm just in pain. Like,
right.
Yeah, like I'm sitting like very happily at like my 5.5 right now. I got some pain in my legs, and in my lower back right now, but it's
mine's always about a 3 to 5.
Yeah.
My nerve pain. When it flares up, I hate life.
Yeah.
Now that I've cut out a lot of inflammatory things in my diet, it's gotten a lot better. Like ever since I got rid of red meat and other certain things that cause flare-ups, I've been doing it's been doing a lot better. Which I was really surprised once, because my husband noticed. He goes, like he noticed this maybe a year or two ago. He goes, "Have you ever noticed?" He goes, "that after you eat red meat, your flare-ups happen." And I was like, "No." And then we cut out the red meat, and lo and behold, they went way down. So, but also, and I was on like Percocet, but now I just smoke the Big Smoky, and that has really, really helped. So it's regulated. The green... when I do get flare-ups, I'm on my back for a day. I can't drive. Everything is terrible. I'm just like, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
So, but my wife's aware of it, and they know. Yeah.
It's mine started to really like my flare-ups, like my pain flare-ups and my nerve pain happened like after I moved to Texas. Like within like 6 weeks of moving to Texas, I caught swine flu. And like essentially I've been experiencing for the past decade and some change, like almost 15 years at this point, long swine flu. Like when it comes to like
long COVID or
it's like the same thing. Like the virus just kind of stays in your system and it fucks up your nervous system. It becomes autoimmune because your body is trying to fight a virus that has damaged you. And that's essentially what fibromyalgia is. It's just like your body is sending out pain signals where there's no injury, or
that's what mine does.
Or sending out pain signals at a way higher intensity than you're supposed to have it. Like, because every day that you exist and every time you move, you have like little tiny micro injuries in your muscle tissues and your tendons and things like that. And if you don't,
that's what that's what you're doing when you're working out. You're damaging the muscle and then rebuilding it. And
exactly.
So you're doing the same thing.
Yeah. But you're not really supposed to notice those pain wise. And another
until you get into your 40s.
Yeah. And then, I got
I had to buy a back brace. I bought a back brace because I sit for my job all day. And then I sit on the internet, and my back was just killing me. And I bought a back brace, and I'm like, I need something that's going to hold my muscles straighter. My back pain will go down. And then I got to start doing core work. So.
I'm going get my back x-rayed next month because I'm hypermobile. Like I can do this weird ass thing with my hands and all that shit. It's fucking
I can do that.
But there's a good chance that I'm also very hypermobile in the joint that connects your spine and your hips together, because I have a lot of my pain is centered around that joint. And the thing is, like, that's the muscle and the joint that you use to do chores, to walk, like to stabilize your body. Like all the things. Like I fold like 3 things of clothes and I'm done. Like kind of thing. So I'm getting that checked out.
I mean, like, I don't know this because of the because my body isn't as great as it used to be, or I'm 48 and I'm getting old. As I'll do a chore, then I sit down for half an hour, and then I get up and do another chore, and then I sit down for half an hour.
Yeah, that's basically what I do.
I kind of have to break it up.
That's basically what I do, or I make my husband do it. Ways to Human. I no longer live in Texas. I don't live in the country anymore. I live in Canada now, so I also have a doctor. Like, not a pain. In fact, I just got a family doctor, like the Canadian system is different than the U.S. system. You're getting a doctor where we are short on doctors here, so getting a family doctor can be difficult. So if you don't have a family doctor, it's very hard to treat certain kinds of conditions like regularly, if that makes sense. Like, so, and you know, most of the time, if I'm feeling bad, I just end up going to the hospital and go to the ER because I felt bad, like randomly at 2:00 in the morning. But now that I have a family doctor, like I can really, excuse me, look into like my back pain, what's causing that. I have PCOS, and that's also something I have to get under control because I've gained like 50 pounds in like 3 years, and it's not fun. Like, it's not good on my back. Like, don't get me wrong, I like being thick. I just would like to not be this thick. I would like to be able to afford pants going forward.
I want to afford pants.
Listen, like, that's in a recession. I can't afford to buy new pants.
Listen, I go, that's like, girl, there's a reason why I wear leggings. No, right now my clothes still fit. So I put on 15 pounds, but my clothes still fit. So that's but I hear you though. It's
yeah.
My weight's been up and down all my life. It's just the thing I struggle with. It's those French jeans, man. I'm like, you are
like
preparing for winter,
built for winter.
You gotta breathe.
I'm technically triracial. Like as a Creole person, I like obviously like I'm mostly French, but I have just as many indigenous tribes in my ancestry as I do like French or European.
I'm all white people at all the white people countries.
I'm also a descendant from I have on my dad's side I have Black Creole on my dad's side, and it's so I have it's all in me. Like just like Louisiana, my genetics are a melting pot. And just, you know, like all melting pot, some of it is stuck to the side right now. Someone forgot to spray the Pam in the pot.
Like my grandfather's my dad's dad is from Albania, but he's technically Greek because we did our DNA. We have no Albanian. Mm-hmm. We have Albanian relatives through our DNA line, but our actual DNA doesn't contain any Albanian, which is it's mostly Greek and Balkan. And then my mom is French and Canadian French. From a province in France, which comes from a French Jew that was like one of her ancestors. So but it's all the white people countries. Like I got Viking in me, I got British in me, I got Irish, German, like all the white people.
Yeah. I have a good bit of...
I'm also distantly related to Henry, Richard III, and Henry the Fourth, I think. So
I'm a bastard of Henry VIII.
That's awesome. My husband is related to Francis Scott Key, the man that wrote the national anthem. So,
like Henry VIII,
I keep telling him, I'm like, can you get royalties on the national anthem?
He's like my 14th great grandfather. And I'm also a legitimate descendant of his sister. But I'm also distantly related to William Wallace as well on my mom's side because my mom has a little bit of Scottish on her end. But my mom's native. Like my mom is a quarter native. My grandfather was half. He was Creek. But on top of all of that, like I've been very like balls deep in my genealogy. Like I hyper fixated and did a lot of work on it recently. I'm descended essentially from the first Creole person of Louisiana. So she was a 16-year-old Caddo Indian girl, native, and the first French settlement on the continent was in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and she was a slave to her master, got pregnant by him. But she could speak French. So they baptized the baby, they baptized her, and she married him. and then had another kid, and I'm a descendant from their son. So like and then on top of that, I like, because I'm Cajun as well, like all of like the Mi'kmaq, the Ottawa Indians, so like the First Nations up there. My grandfather's Creek. I'm descended from another tribe in Illinois. Like I've got like 5 tribes, Natchez, like I'm part Natchez. Like I've got 5 or 6 tribes in my heritage, which as far as like my white people heritage, like it's mostly French, Welsh, and English, and like and German. So like the Gaelic stuff. I have a little German in me. But I have a couple of like roadblocks because one of my great grandfather was an orphan that came over and stuff like that. But I can trace my heritage very, very far back, and I've been on this continent well before my ancestors are from this continent well before it was colonized, like, kind of thing. And some of the first people that did colonize both Canada and America are in like my genealogy. So it's which, by the way, I would like to point out to everybody right now, if you think, especially if you're in America, if you think it is a good idea to get your DNA tested to see what you are right now, don't do it. Look at me. Don't do it. Not right now. 23andMe just went under. Guess who they're selling their information
to? Yeah, I just downloaded. I had a 23andMe account. I just downloaded all my data and I deleted my account.
Yeah, that's if your data hasn't already been. The data still technically exists there and still can be sold. But
you can opt out. There's a selection process you can use on the website for them. If you say "do not sell my data," they can't sell your data legally.
In a very similar sense as I do have a little Italian in me too, but like the way that with both Cajun and Creole peoples, like we were not. And I say Cajun and Creoles, like not all Creoles are Cajun and not all Cajuns are Creole, but all Cajuns are Creole, if that makes sense. They're like part of the diaspora. Until Jim Crow came around, we were not considered legally white. And then they wanted our vote. They wanted the white Creoles and the Cajuns votes. And so then they're like, no, Cajun people are white. Creoles are only people of color, sort of thing. So when Jim Crow came around, but like everybody in my family's mixed as hell. But it's one of the reasons why we're not allowed into the KKK. Like, for example, that and we're Catholic. I don't know if you knew this. You can't be Catholic. Yeah.
You can't be Catholic.
To join the KKK.
Why can't you be Catholic in the KKK? Are you not a true Christian?
You have to be a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Well,
like it's a requirement.
But there's races. But there's races in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, of course, there's racism in the Catholic Church.
There's racism everywhere, but like
racism everywhere.
I feel like that's. Oh my God, are you saying that a very exclusive, like bigoted group is bigoted against other white people too?
Well, so this is actually hilarious. This is so my cousin was the governor of Louisiana for a few terms. It was my grandmother and his first cousin. His name was Edwin Edwards. He recently died. He was already a convicted felon when he was running against David Duke for governor of Louisiana. And at least Louisiana didn't pick David Duke. Like he was money laundering, essentially, my cousin. Like it wasn't like a, it was a very white collar felon crime, but we were just like, do we want the crook or the racist?
I picked the crook,
and we picked the crook. So it was like one of those times. I think picking the convicted felon was actually the moral choice at that point. I was obviously not old enough to vote, but yeah, he ran.
I will go with convicted felon over bigot any day, unless you're like it's like the bad crimes.
Yeah. Like he laundered some money.
It's like, do I want the child SA person or do I want the bigot?
Yeah. Unfortunately. But usually those two coincide. But yeah, no, he we were just like, I guess we're voting for the crook. But which was hilarious because he was laundering money from the state, and the state was still some of the richest it had ever been and most profitable it had ever been while he was governor. So that was like the crazy thing. Like, he's everything that Donald Trump wish he would have been.
Right?
Kind of thing. Louisiana politics is
wild.
Wow,
that's a bar.
It's crazy.
That's a bar.
Right?
No.
Donald Trump wishes he was the same level of, I don't know if y'all know who Huey P. Long is. But Huey P. Long is the reason why we have Medicaid. And he was killed for it.
The thing is though, like every time I talk about Trump, I get sad. So
I'm sorry. I just get angry. I get mad. I don't get sad. I get so
I get mad. I have a lot of emotions. I get mad, sad, disgusted,
so mad,
disappointed, existential. So
so
everything is terrible. But I'm cute.
One of the other so we were talking about kind of get slightly back on topic. I don't know how much time.
Let's get back on topic. Sorry. Welcome to the ADHD stream.
So the same friend that had liked me, we were talking about some stuff, but couldn't date me because he liked me. That guy. We were talking about, because he's very much still in a deconstruction phase. He's still like a believer, and I'm not the one that's gonna like push stuff. I'll always question stuff to kind of help him with his deconstruction, but I'm not the one to say like, it's time for you to stop believing in Jesus and shit like that. That's your journey. But talking about his deconstruction and things like that, and he was saying, he was like, yeah, it was when I felt closer to God was when I was high as fuck in the desert. And I'm like, yeah.
I may have done some mushrooms, allegedly. Not saying if I did or not, allegedly. So, and I had a conversation with Hippie Jesus, and Hippie Jesus told me to be kind and love everybody, and I was like, "Thank you, Hippie Jesus." I had a moment with hang out with Hippie Jesus.
So ironically, the only substance I really do is marijuana, right? And that is like a pain management. It's completely legal. It's an anxiety management for me. And it's fun as hell. But the only thing I've ever like truly hallucinated
high sex is the best sex. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's the orgasms. So good.
Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Sorry. But sorry, brain. The only thing I've ever hallucinated on, well, I was slipped Molly once, and I did hallucinate on Molly, and that was in New Orleans. That was a good time. Not that I was I didn't, but it was Molly, and I could tell because of how much I was coming. Like how, if you ever done Molly, coming down from Molly is the worst. It's so bad.
I haven't done it because for that exact reason. I heard the coming, and as someone with major depressive disorder, didn't want to.
I didn't consent to having it. It was we were brought to get the best daiquiris in New Orleans, and they were for multiple reasons. But the only thing I've ever truly hallucinated on is Benadryl.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
I've experienced the Benadryl hat man. Like this week,
I am not. Usually I take 2 and I'm like, I'm ready for naps. So
like I get the weirdest ass dreams. I get a lot of like auditory hallucinations when I'm on Benadryl. Especially if I don't fall asleep right away, which if I've taken, which is when you would hallucinate on it. If I've taken too much in the week, like let's say I took it like 3 or 4 days in a row because it's the only thing that's calming my allergies or helping me sleep, I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm going to be awake.
Yeah,
hallucinate.
I'll experience the Benadryl. Pass it out for a few hours, like it's nap time.
Speaking of Benadryl and being afraid of being possessed. Those like two old those evangelicals. I'm trying to think of their names, but they were like some of the most famous like exorcists in like on the planet or something. It's just they're the ones that did the Amityville.
Oh, are you talking about the Warrens?
The Warrens. Them.
Yeah.
So one of the kids that they exorcised, you know, turned out one to just be autistic. And it also turned out that his mom was slipping him Benadryl every day in his food.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, bad parent.
Like bad parent. And she's the one that called, like, I think my child is possessed. You were giving him Benadryl every day.
That's some Munchausen by proxy shit.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like one of those things. I think that Netflix, it's even on Netflix. There's a documentary on Netflix about it. Hi, John. Hi, everybody. But
I've been watching The Devil Wants You. It's about the satanic panic, especially about the Michelle Remembers woman. That it's really disturbing. Like because there's recordings of her sessions with the psychiatrist, and she really believes that these things happen to her, and you can hear the distress and the things that she's describing. And even though I know it didn't actually happen,
when someone
sounds real.
It
fucks with my head. I'm like, oh my god, because it's trauma response. She's traumatized, you know, she's traumatizing herself, but she's traumatized, and I'm like, oh god, it's intense. I can watch like a little bit, and I'm like, and then I take a break.
Again, I was very, very terrified for a good 10 years of my life of being possessed, right? Like I believed that I was ripe for the taking. And I even helped out and attended a few exorcisms. And I didn't react well when I was there. And that was like one of the reasons why the priest was like, I don't think you should do this anymore because you're ripe for the possession.
What? This was in the Catholic Church?
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah. Did you know that?
Because usually they don't tend to do those at rando. They usually there's like a whole thing that happens with medical professionals and stuff. Well,
yeah. They were usually sometimes happening like at these conventions, like these conferences or at these retreats. And so they just do there's like these, like everybody like surrounds people, like, so like this person is going through spiritual warfare, we need to exorcise them. So that's like the thing was that, like, because I know the Catholic Church has like a process through like official exorcisms kind of thing, but you don't go through that process in the moment when someone's dehydrating and having like a mental health crisis in the moment.
Yeah. Oh, this is when you were like at the retreats you were talking about earlier?
Yes. And like so I don't know if you knew this, but every diocese has an exorcist. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
And you know Rome has two.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah, Rome has two.
which it's so weird. Like the Catholic Church is both like, we want to live in modern times, but we also want to live back when we were like really cool in the 16th century. Like,
were we cool? I don't know. Wasn't that like around the Black Plague? I don't know.
Was the Spanish Inquisition cool? Was it cool?
Oh my god. Okay, speaking of, did you see the movie The Pope's Exorcist?
No, I have not seen it yet.
Okay, so it's a
but
movie
I love
about...
it. Listen, if it's a horror movie and it involves some Catholic shit.
Okay, it's fucking hilarious. So it's a possession movie. It's about a Spanish man who's an exorcist and stuff like that. And they have to go, like, there's, you know, a child being possessed in this house in Spain or whatever. And they find the symbol of the Spanish Inquisition there. But the thing is that the symbol that they find, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but there's a game called Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes, I played that game. I love that game.
They took the symbol from Dragon Age, the Inquisition, the eye with the thing. It's in the movie as was
Oh,
the
now I gotta look it up.
Inquisition. And it's like, so someone either did a really bad Google search or it was done on purpose.
Oh, I gotta look it up now. Images. Hold on. They did. Oh, they did.
Okay,
that's wild.
Right. All right, Helen, who's your Dragon Age
romances?
No. Tell me right now.
Oh my god! I have to share it now. What are you doing? What are you doing, people? Oh no!
So somebody in the art department either made a mistake or didn't make a mistake, and it was done on purpose, and they're having a good laugh about it. Look at it. That is the symbol from. Now show the symbol from the video game, like next to it. Like show.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I love it. That's so funny. Oh my god! I love it. I kind of love it.
So you see exorcisms in the Spanish Inquisition. It reminded me of that. Okay, time out. Who do you romance in Dragon Age? Who are your romances?
I was oh my god, not to think. Who was I really in? Iron Bull was one of my favorite because he's just fun.
Yes. And voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, that's fair. Fuck. I'm blanking. It'll come to me in a minute. The one that was like the diplomat. The really hot fuck.
The girl?
Sorry. Yeah, it's a girl.
Josephine.
I'm not Josephine, thank you. Good times. And then so those are like my two favorite romance on regular, but the fact that I played a man just so I could romance Dorian.
Oh yeah, like Dorian's is such a good romance too, but he's also such a really good like platonic friendship as well. Like
he's also really good.
You become besties with Dorian like super fast. I'm also like big on the iron. Huh?
As long as you're not a jerk.
I think I have a character for like every single because in Mass Effect it's Garrus. It's always Garrus. It's always will be Garrus.
It's always Garrus.
It's always Garrus. When my husband plays, I make your romance Garrus so I can watch. It's always Garrus. But like
I'm playing the new one right now, and I'm still trying to figure out how
Veilguard.
So
I did. I found most of the romances in Veilguard to be pretty boring so far. I'm on my second playthrough of Veilguard, and I'm kind of stuck between Harding because I fucking love Scott Harding, and the elf. What's her name? I can't think. I did the other elf. The warden elf was my first one.
Okay, yeah.
With his griffin. I can't think of names right now. My brain.
He's pretty.
Yeah, he's so pretty. And he's got that
hunter.
I'm
like, oh, you have a pet.
And also, like, they have the hunter-prey dynamic in their romance, which is pretty interesting, which I'm like, okay. Like, and of course there's the old man, and I can't wait to break him. But,
I haven't I'm on my first playthrough, and I haven't met him yet. So I'm like right at the beginning. So
gotcha.
I had though the thing is I got really mad because I romanced Solus specifically because they were supposed to all your data was supposed to, and I had I think on the Dragon Vault account, and I did a whole thing, and when I found out that it was all for naught,
you can still at least choose who your romance was for your Inquisitor, and like for the story, because I've romanced, like that my canon is the Soulless romance for my Inquisitor. But I have like my dwarf though.
Sorry, if you came here for religious trauma stuff,
well, I mean, listen, that was Dragon Age talk, and you're gonna have to deal. We're decompressing from religious trauma by talking about.
We're talking about like who would you romance in Dragon? If you play Dragon Age,
we're really gonna get into
who was your romance?
Because if we're really going to get into it, we can compare the Chantry to the Catholic Church at any time.
Oh my God. It's what was really fun. Okay, so I will, since we'll talk. Time
out. I'm going to pee again before we jump into that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll wait till you come back. So if you play Dragon Age Inquisition, it's like I love an RPG. It is super fun. I'm playing I'm playing Valgar right now. But I keep getting distracted because I'm also playing Cult of the Lamb. If you are a former religious person, I highly recommend Cult of the Lamb. It's super adorable, but you build a cult. And it has some Eldritch horrors in it, so that's also super fun. And I'm trying to think what else. And also, like it's like the stuffy, like there's some plushies from some of the characters that I want, because they're so cute. It's such a great game. It's so adorable. Yet you're building a cult. You're a cult leader. But you actually have powers, so that's fun. But you get to punish your followers if they're, you have to re-indoctrinate them if they started like going astray. It's a whole thing. And there's like you can give them gifts to make them feel good and give them praise and punish them when they're bad. But you also have to feed them, but you can also make them work. And then if they pray a lot for you, you get, that's your power. Use that for your power-ups. So I love that fucking game. Like it is. I'm talking. Have you played Cult of the Lamb?
No, I'm not very big on roguelikes. With the
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you, if you're a cult leader, it's the best. If you are a former religious person, it's so cute.
Like, I'm aware of what Cult of the Lamb is and what it's about.
It's
and
fun.
I've watched people play it. It's more of like my gameplay style. I don't do very well with roguelikes because it's an excess. I am blind, like I'm visually impaired. And so with roguelikes, you can get like all the projectiles at times, and it can be very, very hard for me to keep up with. So in general, so it's why you're gonna see me play a lot of RPGs, right? Or a lot of like cozy stuff like Stardew Valley. If you're my friend on Steam, you'll see how many hours I have logged into Jurassic World Evolution.
I'm playing Baldur's Gate right now on Steam. I don't stream though, and I don't watch streamers. It's not because it's just because one, I only got so much time.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Helen. You as a Dragon Age fan, as somebody who plays D&D, you need to play the Dragon Age tabletop game.
That's another person told me I'm in 4 D&D games right now, and I wrote a D&D campaign based on the numbers that I had so I had to make that happen because I already have, because as soon as I told my friends I made an apocalypse one, they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, because I was hanging out with Sherry D'Souza, who is the president of Recovering from Religion Australia, and I'm going to be working with her. But she was a former Jehovah's Witness, and we were just chit chatting. And I was on the Big Smoky, and I asked her. I said, "Where's the 140,000 number come from?" And she said it came from this particular verse in the Bible, but it was the wrong verse. But I just started reading Revelations. And I'm like, this reads like a D&D campaign. Like, it's so trippy. And then I was like, boom. Like, so I wrote a campaign. I haven't played it yet now, but it's going to happen.
Let me know if you
we're
need
going
someone
to talk
at your
about
table.
the Chantry.
Yeah, let me know if you need someone at your table, because
I might have to stream it with like a few people from the online community. I'll get a Twitch account and just run a game once a month and play it, because I'm just fascinated. My kid wants to play it, and they were never religious. So they're just like, that just sounds really fun. And I was like, it's going to be.
So fun, child.
So okay, when I played Okay, because I had only played a little bit of the first I did play Dragon Age 2, but it was so long ago that I kind of forgot about it. And then so I got Dragon Age 3 because it had really good reviews, so I bought it when it came out, and I played it over and over again. I love that game. So much fun. But when it got to the chantry, I was like, this is an interesting take. And also you end up deconstructing the religion when you play the game, which is also really interesting. Because when you start learning about the history of the chantry and stuff through the game and stuff, like, because I tended to play either like an agnostic or someone that did not believe in I tended to play I played a believer with my gay guy that I romance story.
He was Androssian. Nice. And then of course the elven gods and and that's a whole nother bucket there. But I think like one of the interesting parallels that I find in Dragon Age is the circle and how queer and how mages are the equivalent of how like churches treat queer people in the real world. You know, the isolation, the like you're not allowed to like have romances, and the romances that you do have, there's like this huge power balance because, you know, especially with like a mage and Templar sort of thing. So there's that one, and then of course you have like the colonization aspect with destroying like the elven faith and things like that. And then once you get more into Velgar and some shit gets revealed. Especially the dwarf lore. Did you play like the in Inquisition? Did you play the DLC where you meet the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah, there's that. How blood magic is, and that, which by the way, communion is blood magic. It's blood magic.
Well, that was the thing we were talking about before the stream. Like I did, like my particular brand of Catholic, like we didn't think trans, because this is a debate in the church. Is transubstantiation a thing? Is it an actual magical thing that happens, or is it just symbolic? I always thought it was symbolic.
No, I was taught it was his actual fucking body and blood and shit like that.
I'm glad it wasn't, because like that would have fucked me up.
And that
I'd be like, isn't cannibalism bad?
Yeah. And that any time that you did any sort of sacrament, you received the physical grace of God. So anytime you were like, you had communion, or if you got married, or last rites, baptism, confession, you're receiving the physical grace of God. Is like, that's how they like told me what was happening. And bless you. Don't die, Helen.
It's just very weird because, like, excuse me,
you want some Dr.
Excuse
Pepper?
me, I'm sorry. So, like, like this is the thing though, like about, you know, the whole transubstantiation thing. It's just that it's a debate, and I'm just like, nothing's happening, man, because it's not real. like
it was never a debate. like in like
it was like, well, the thing is though, like, I didn't really know about other churches like doing this, because in the particular diocese I was in, it was taught it was symbolic. I don't know why it happened with the Boston diocese, and it kind of spilled over into the New Hampshire one. But that was the stance. But then like I ended up going when I don't know, like when I moved down here and I went to the Catholic Church down here, because I was kind of out of the religion, but like my sister-in-law was in it, and I would go to mass with her every once in a while, and they took it literally, and I thought that was weird. I was like, there's what? Like what?
No, I was took it literally. Yeah. Yeah, no, transubstantiation was like a real thing and a real miracle that only a priest could do.
Because he has special powers.
Because of the apostolic succession.
Right.
Which is weird and hilarious because technically on Pentecost, Mary also received like the same like grace that the apostles did. So technically, there should be some level of, but women in you have to have very specifically, you have to have a penis to be a priest. You can't be a eunuch and a priest in the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. Like there's a rule against eunuchs. You have to have your penis to be a priest.
I don't understand why do you have to have that's the other thing I never understood. That was always my quibble. That was like in CCD. I actually asked this. I go, why can't women be priests? And my CCD teacher was basically like, well, this is the way that God commanded it. I go, did he?
Yeah, it's very specifically like based off of the Feast of Pentecost. And apostolic succession sort of thing. Like that's like the technical. I do, Catholicism is weirdly still a special interest of mine, even if I don't believe it to be real. I remember one time I was having this conversation with my dad because there's a lot of stuff in the Catholic Church that is not taken literally, right? Like the entire book of Genesis is not taken literally except for one thing, and that is original sin.
Right.
It is the only thing in Genesis that the Catholics take seriously because
so weird.
They have to. They have
to make the religion work.
Yeah, you have to, because if you don't take original sin as something that literally happened, like because Catholics as of today on board with evolution, like on board, like they're not young earth creationists, they're more like a prime mover type of creationist, but like you have to take original sin seriously, like, or literally, because if you don't have original sin, then Jesus' sacrifice means nothing,
right?
And you don't have the religion, and that's the only reason why they don't that they do it. Like everything else is symbolic until essentially where you can historically prove some things that existed. You know what I mean?
People had sex.
Yeah, people have sex.
We know that.
Like you can't. I'm pretty like they don't believe the flood happened because there's no scientific evidence. They accept the scientific evidence that there was no global flood, kind of thing. Which it kind of leads me into the segue. I was talking to my dad recently. My dad is very involved in local like wildlife conservation, because he's a big hunter and fisher, and so I don't know if anyone understands or realizes this. You kind of need things to hunt and fish in to know order to do that. So he's very big into that. And one of the big issues that Louisiana is facing right now is the wild hog population is bad. Yes, the meme, and trying to figure out how to call these animals that are essentially polluting to the water to the point that the local wildlife, they're miscarrying their babies from drinking the water, kind of thing, which is a harm to these populations of deer, raccoon, possum, the native species, because pigs are an invasive animal. And I was talking to him about it, and I was like, well, one of the solutions, because they don't have natural predators in Louisiana anymore. Like it's alligators and black bears are more omnivorous, and the alligators are what they are, kind of thing. And I was like, because the natural range of the jaguar originally went through Louisiana all the way to Florida, right? And he made this comment, and he was like, well, how did the jaguars get here? Do you think they came after the flood on the boat? And I was like, Daddy. Daddy, we're Catholic. No. They did not. The flood didn't happen ever. They should have taught you this in catechism.
Like that was the thing. Like I was talking. The ACA lets me. They don't let me. They kind of do. I have permission. I do a TikTok through the ACA every Tuesday night where I talk to whoever will talk to me.
What's your
Were you there the other night?
No, probably not. I haven't been on.
You missed the one. I have never talked to a young Earth creationist before. My brain broke. I literally, so we were talking about the age of the earth. So I went on a Wikipedia article. There was 213 sources.
Yeah.
At the bottom. He's like, where do you know all this? And I started, and then I said it, I just started reciting. I'm like, this is from this, scientific paper. This is from the scientific book. This is the person that wrote it, blah, blah. I got to like 5 of them. I go, I'm not going to read all these. I go, you can look at it yourselves. And then I said, I asked him, I said, these are people that have done all this work. And he goes, he basically said that the reason it was the devil was tricking us. That the science was real. And I'm just like, I can't talk to this person because he was so scientifically illiterate. My brain was breaking. I'm like, you don't understand basic science.
Like, legitimately, like, did the devil really put rocks there? No. Right. Like, just the rocks alone, my guy. And that's like the thing. It's just like there's evidence in multiple scientific fields for like the proof, like that disprove young Earth, that prove that estimate of pretty accurate the age of the Earth and stuff, like fossils, dinosaurs, biological evolution, that kind of stuff.
Fossils are also from the devil. That's what I asked him about that too. He thinks, and I'm like, I can't. I'm like, what? Like,
okay, cool. Prove to me that's the devil is real.
Yeah,
by the way, like
it was
your
book
doesn't
like, this
even.
This, and the thing is, though, I'm not well versed. Like, I've had morality arguments. Like, the person I talked to before him, we had a discussion about a designer, not even an intelligent designer, just a designer, and but it was very civil. We were just coming from two different philosophy perspectives. That's all it was. And it was very civil. It was kind. It was just throwing ideas back and forth to each other. It was great. Then I talked to this motherfucker and my brain broke. I was just like, because nothing, if you don't understand basic scientific principles, this is a conversation I was like, I'm going around in circles. I'm driving myself crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Like, did you not finish the 10th grade? Were they American or were they like from
They're American. They were homeschooled.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I'm starting to get a headache. But there was, so one of the other things that's interesting about the Bible, and this is one of the things that made me like really think about what I believed and why and all that good stuff, is when you really look into like the anthropology of the religion and like the books themselves, and you realize that Yahweh is not even the God of creation in Genesis.
I know.
It's a it's a God. It's the in the Canaanite religion that is also polytheist. It's a God called Elohim, and like other people will kind of use that interchangeably with Yahweh. But Yahweh comes from a completely different ethnic group that was adopted by Israelites, like a nomadic group, and is not in the canon until Exodus, right? Like another book. It's a different. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, so hold on. And this is the thing I was thinking. I was like, so who is Jesus the son of? Is he the son of the creation God or the war god of the Israelites? Because Yahweh's a war god. Like, he's presented as a war god.
Yeah, that's why there's so much fucking violence in the Old Testament.
Yeah, he's a war god. So because it's like it's two different deities that have been like combined into one. And that was like the thing that kind of like, I was like, well, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the lore no longer makes sense if like you have, like, if Jesus is the son of God. Now it's just like, which one?
Right.
Like, because
it was funny though too, because when I was talking to that guy, I was trying to explain to him that I said, somehow we got onto the Abrahamic gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, Muslims, I made a comparative to like the Quran to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining to her, I go, no, it's this, I'm like, you're all worshiping the same God. And I go, it's the Abrahamic God. Like you are worshiping, I go, Muslims worship it, Christians worship it, Jews. I go, it all comes from the same source, and all this came out of Persia, by the way. And I'm trying to explain this to him, and he's like, no, they don't. I go, yes, they do. I go, they acknowledge that Jesus was a prophet. They just don't think he was the son of God.
Yeah. They even acknowledge the virgin birth.
I know. So I was like, what the fuck, man? And he was like, and I'm like, this is the thing. He's not even educated on his own faith. And I'm just like,
yeah.
What am I gonna? Yeah. I'm like, I can't.
So
I can't.
The OG Canaanite religion of ancient Levant was a polytheist faith that included El, the supreme god, who is the god of creation, his consort Asherah, Baal, and we know who Baal is, Anat, who is another war god, and then I can't pronounce this, Astarte, I think Astarte, which is like the fertility goddess, right? And like when you look at the canon and the story and maybe like what these people were trying to do, and this is just like my hypothesis, it's not, but like, when the 10 Commandments come and Yahweh is the one that's giving the commandments to Moses in that story, like and El, the god El, the creation god of that religion, is usually represented by what? A cow. And then you have the story of the golden calf in that whole thing, Moses smashing the 10 Commandments on it in that story. It's like symbolic of like, they don't want you worshiping the old gods that were believed to be real, that they all believe to be real, over Yahweh, who's not a part of the pantheon. Like, he's in a different pantheon altogether. Right. That he gets like slurped up into this religion. But like, yeah, Genesis is like, the creation God is not Yahweh in that lore.
And that's why, like, when we're like I was telling him, I go, if you're gonna follow a faith, like, know the whole history of the faith. And I said, I go, I'm not telling you not to believe in God. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to educate yourself on what your actual belief comes from, because then you're better informed instead of just like, swallowing whatever somebody tells you, and it was just one of those crazy conversations, because I've never talked to a young earth creationist ever. I know they exist. I've heard their arguments online. But it's one when you're talking to someone, you're like, oh my God, like what, and when someone has such a fundamental worldview from your own, like, that's so different that you're just like, I can't, you and I cannot relate on the same level at all, because
you're not on the same level of like, or even on like a similar level, like in the same room, in the same building of like knowledge, like anthropological knowledge of your religion kind of thing. Yeah. Right.
Because I told him, I go, because I was like, I grew up Catholic, but I had science class and I learned science. Like, I had science class and religion class. They were separate because science was science and religion was theology and belief.
Yeah. And that was in Catholic school. I went to Catholic school too. Until 8th grade I went to Catholic school, and there was no,
I went to 7th grade.
Yeah. And so there was no like, I remember like as a child that was like the autistic child that was obsessed with dinosaurs, talking about Adam and Eve and human evolution, all that kind of stuff, and like dinosaurs existing. Like, I remember just like, instead of like confessing, like, I'm like 8 years old, instead of confessing my sins in the confessional for our like yearly confession before Easter, I was just like, hey, Padre,
Right.
Did dinosaurs live at the same time as Adam and Eve? Because this does not make sense. Like, I made him, like, I didn't confess. I made this man explain theology to me, and he was like,
make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Kind of thing. And I don't remember his generic faith versus thing answer or whatever. I was a child, but I do distinctly remember being in the confessional, like, interrogating the priest, because it was just like, one, again, autistic as fuck, right? Like, if I'm into a topic, I'm gonna know everything about it,
right?
As much as I possibly physically can, and it's just like, and I'm gonna deconstruct that shit. And I stopped obviously in high school because the indoctrination got to me, but when I started to deconstruct again, like around 30, after I was being accused of murder for having a Mirena, like, for keeping that baby blocker in my uterus.
God damn you!
I know, just killing all those babies. Those potential lives, those theoretical lives, like, instead of my actual, the comfort of my actualized one. But that was like the first thing that like came up when I was deconstructing, and that was when the time I was like, I don't think I'm a Christian anymore. And I had moved to Canada already, and like I left Catholicism, but still was just like, okay, so like, if I don't believe in this, like, because, like, obviously I don't believe that birth control is abortion, and I don't believe abortion is murder. And why? Because of this reason. I was like, essentially it's that whole thing we talk about in this community, what, like, finding good reasons to believe in stuff. And it was before I found, like, again, like, the atheist community of Austin, or like The Line, or any of those other like call-in shows and stuff. Like, I was well into deconstructing before that, and those kind of shows and some YouTubers like Owen's channel was like a big inspiration for me, and Genetically Modified Skeptic was also like a big one for me, even before like the call-in shows. And I had seen the Atheist Experience when I lived in Austin, because it was on PBS, right? Like air and stuff, and I watched a couple episodes of that, but I was still like a believer, but thought I was never afraid of like quote unquote losing my faith, because I was very confident in it for the longest time. So like having my faith challenged was never an issue for me as a kid, or as a young person. And at this moment, I'm also not afraid to have my beliefs or lack of challenged now. Like, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, I want to know.
I want to be corrected. I want to know things.
Yeah, but you better come with some very strong evidence and arguments for it, to show what's right. And it better be something that I haven't already figured out isn't right. Like, and
right. And I don't. No, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just saying that, like, we've deconstructed. That means like we've looked at, like, I didn't wake up one day and be like, I don't have any beliefs anymore. Like, I called it the death of 1,000 cuts. Like, it was a slow
paper cuts.
Yeah, 1,000 little tiny paper cuts. And then eventually I came to, I'm like, I don't have justification to believe anything without evidence. So, and that was it. And then that's it. But if you have evidence for a deity, one, you're going to break science. Cool. But also too, I will go, okay, that's real. Am I going to worship it? Probably not, because I don't worship anything unless there's an orgasm involved. So, not going to happen. So,
like, I think if Freya existed, I would probably be down to.
I can worship Freya.
Yeah, I could, like, in fact, for my and for my wedding, because I didn't want to have like a Christian wedding or whatever.
We had a pagan wedding,
huh?
Yeah, I essentially had a pagan wedding.
Yeah, we essentially had,
because we were pagan at the time, but it was still a lot of fun.
I kind of lean into some of those atheo-pagan.
I'm an atheo-pagan.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just because I do like ritual, I do like tradition. Like, a lot of like my my white or my European heritage before it was colonized by the Roman Catholic Church and the Italians were these types of pagans. So and atheopaganism is just so like it's naturalistic, right? So, you know, we got married on a Friday, the 13th in October. Well, we had our wedding. We were legally married before that, but we had our wedding. And so instead of throwing a bouquet, because I think that's kind of weird to see. One, I have a lot of people in my life who are mostly married. Like I was very, like I was in a relationship for 14 years before I married him, kind of thing. But so we just got like a Pusheen plushie because, you know, Friday is Freya's day. And was just sort of like, and you know, she's the goddess of cats. So we're like, all right, here's the Pusheen. I'm going to throw it. Whoever catches it, the next one's going to get a cat.
I love that.
Everybody was able to participate in it. I didn't wear a garter. Do you think my thighs are thick? You think we were going to find a garter belt that was going to go around those? Hell no. But yeah, no, it was a whole thing, and it was fun, and everyone had a good time. It was kind of like an Aethiopagan / Hobbit wedding, because, you know,
yeah,
I love Lord of the Rings so much, and I just want to live the soft Hobbit life.
I do you know what they're going to be doing in Kentucky in October?
No, I don't pay attention to anything that happens in Kentucky.
Okay, so okay, fine. I'm going to tell you. They're building a Hobbiton in
Wonderful.
Kentucky. It's going to be a whole event where you can go to the Shire and you can be a Hobbit, and there's it's LARPing the whole time. And it's set right after Frodo, a little bit after when Frodo and Sam leave the Shire to go to Mount Doom.
Yeah.
And there's stuff starting to happen, and like your waitress at like a tavern is also an NPC. What?
At the Green Dragon?
Yeah, you can go to the Green Dragon. Yeah, you can go to the Green Dragon and hang out, and she'll give you like a quest that you and your friends can like start to go on and stuff. Or you can just learn to and like eat and drink like a hobbit and hang out and live your hobbit dreams.
Hobbit life.
And I was like, oh my God, if I could go, I would. Because what does Helen want to do more than anything? Live in the Shire.
Live in the Shire. We are going to, when I get kind of like my health together, because right now, like I don't consider myself like fat, but to the point where I'm with all of my health problems and the size of my ass, I don't feel comfortable in airplane seats. Like I fit in them, I just don't feel very comfortable, kind of thing. And I did have a scare very recently of a possible blood clot, and I'm kind of at a high risk for them. I have compression socks on right now just because, you know, because I'm sitting here for a few hours. So I want to get like my health together, but our plan is, for our honeymoon, because we still haven't gone on our honeymoon yet, is just to go to New Zealand and to go to like the set. Like that's
my friends have been there. They said it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like I guess like my dream vacation. But there is also like an Airbnb here in BC that is a Hobbit hole. I know that there's a couple Hobbit hole places in Arkansas. There's a place that has it, and there is also some places in Mexico that have them. But like the thing is like as of right now, traveling to the States is not something. Come here. Yeah, we're like, and unless it's like an emergency, and I like, because you know my parents are still down there. My brother is there. Like my grandmother is old, kind of thing. Like I'll go, but you know my husband's a Canadian citizen that's married to me, who's had a previous visa in the U.S. So he's at like, according to the U.S., and they're detaining Canadians with visas at points of entry right now. It's just too much of a risk. Like we're not gonna.
My mom is still a Canadian citizen, but she's in a nursing home. And I just hope she stays there.
Do you have your Canadian citizenship since your mom's Canadian?
No, I don't. I don't have it right now. No, I need to
get in that. Yeah.
It's I want to get it done. I'm so late. I have, this is the ADHD way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I procrastinate and I get distracted.
I'm going to be doing mine because I've been here.
Yeah.
I've been a legal permanent resident for about
since 2017.
Since like 2017. So I was eligible.
Like 3 years. You have to be a resident.
5.
It's 5. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm eligible for it. It's just a matter of like getting the test. I just had my friend, she's Brazilian. She just got hers, and her husband are now Canadian citizens. I have another friend that's married to Canadian, and she lives up here. And I don't know if she got hers yet. And they just had a baby, so obviously the baby's a dual citizen. My husband's mother was born in Utah, but she renounced her citizenship because she didn't want to have to pay. Because here's also the crazy thing about the U.S. You have to pay expat taxes. Like I live in Canada, I have to file my U.S. taxes and pay taxes.
That doesn't make any sense. US.
I know. I don't live there. But if that's what keeps me to keep voting, and most of the time,
I can understand if you're like if you're working in Canada, but not a resident. I can kind of see it, but anyway. Oh, I gotta shut things down though, because my husband wants to hang out with me before bed. So I'm gonna.
I mean, that's fair. I'm kind of getting sleepy and stretch and all that. And I'm hungry.
Also, my friend got this expensive bottle of wine on discount, and we were supposed to drink it for my birthday, but last night we ended up going out for sushi, and then we ended up watching the Batman Lego movie, so that didn't happen. So we're gonna. So instead, I'm gonna go have some wine and hang out with my roommate and my husband and my kid, and so I'm gonna do that. So. Hey everybody, thank you for being here. Val, you're gonna come back, right? Yes, you are.
I mean, yeah. Do I get a little plug here? Like,
yes, yeah. Do your plug. Yes.
All right, cool. What's up, everyone? My name is Valdrianth. You can find me on the internet everywhere at Valdrianth. I'm a TTRPG actual play creator and player. On my Twitch channel, this premiering tomorrow is season 3 of our Avatar Legends game. My friend Arnica Avatar The Last Airbender runs an Avatar RPG, and we're doing that tomorrow at 3:00. And then next week on Thursdays will be Girl by Moonlight that my friend Mallory runs. So if you like gay magical girls and giant robots in space, like that's the thing.
And then later, like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then next month we will be starting a Kids on Bike games on Saturdays. We haven't done our session 0 yet for that one, but that's going to be on Saturdays starting in May. So yeah, come and check us out. Like, you can affect the game by paying us, kind of thing, including paying us to stop playing. That's $10,000 though. So like, kind of thing. But if you pay like $1, like you can give somebody like an extra dice to roll or advantage or something like that. So it actually kind of matters stuff. So follow me on Twitch specifically for that, and on BlueSky to get my
your link trees in my doobly doo.
Yeah, the link tree is there, and you can get all of my shit on Linktree that way. BlueSky, Twitch, all of that. On my YouTube channel, you'll see all my past shows that I've uploaded, and there's a lot of fun stuff there. I've been doing this since 2017, so there's a lot of stuff there. But yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, sweetheart. This is a great conversation.
Thanks for having me.
We talked about religious trauma and Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and queer shit.
It's all related. So Dragon Age, religious trauma, and queer shit. All that is in Dragon Age.
It is. It's all things there.
And queer trauma, Dragon Age.
There you go. So, for what's going on with me, this coming Saturday, I'm going to be back on Neil the 6'4" Atheist Show again. We're going to doing Deconversion Stories updated at 8:00. So I will be there. This coming Monday, the 14th, Chris Shelton will be here. We're probably going to talk about cults. Maybe.
Hell yeah.
So I think that's what me and Chris are going to talk about. And then next Wednesday, I'm going to be on the Kentucky Atheist. at 7:00. He invited me. What we're going to talk about, don't know. But I'll be there. And then Phil Quagliero. It's a very long name. He is also another atheist activist. He'll be my guest next week. What are we talking about? I don't know. But that's what's coming up in the next 2 weeks, over the next week. So that is it. Thank you so much, Val, for being here again. Please like, subscribe. If you would like to be a guest, or you know of someone that should be a guest, please shoot me an email here. Do it. Shoot me an email here. And other than that, I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful night. Be kind, give someone a compliment, stay skeptical, and I will see you all on Monday. Bye, motherfuckers. Bye.
Finger guns, because I'm bisexual.